Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Edilieta, or short for Ede. I have a very long name, so it's difficult to pronounce it, so you just can call me Ede. I work as coordinator for women's economic empowerment and gender responsive budgeting for Kosovo Women's Network. Also, I'm a national project coordinator for GBWM, and today I will be moderating the community session, which is called Shaping Budgets Together. We have simulation interpretation in Albanian, Serbian, and Romanian. You can choose which language you want to be interpreted in the symbol that is as a globe. Today's webinar focuses on the crucial role of public consultations and the
Konzultacije i radit ćemo na
de transparență e discutiv.
Our speakers, which is
axează și va explora rolul critic pe care organizațiile ale societățile civile.
We have Rismia Rahmani, which is Executive Director for Organization of Persons with Muscular Dystrophy of Kosovo. We have Mila, which is an MP for Sarajevo Canton. And we have Albulena Areja, which is a Senior Policy Analyst for Democracy Plus. First, I would like for our speakers to introduce themselves and share what their experience with public consultation or the budget processes. Sarah, can you start?
Yes. I will start by sharing my screen, if it is okay, because I have short presentation also. You can see it? It's okay?
It is still loading.
It's loading.
Okay, but I can start.
Okay.
Well, hello everyone. As Ellie said, actually I am moderator for community forums. Now it's visible? Yeah, great.
Yes.
Well, I am working as moderator, but it's something that I do anytime when we have, it's not the main job, main position. Actually, I worked a lot as a monitoring, evaluation, and learning manager of the project. So, and also I worked in the project which are connected with participatory budgeting. I'm a psychologist with master degree in human resource management, and today I will try to speak about how we can strengthen participatory budgeting through gender lenses, drawing on experience from North Macedonia. Over the past decade, I worked in the field of participatory governance, public consultation, and inclusive policy making. Which actually I worked as moderator of community forums that brings the citizens' voices into local decision-making process. Through this work, I've been involved in developing and adjusting also methodology that make participatory budgeting more inclusive, because one of the topic what I worked a lot was inclusiveness in different aspects. Here in this project, I worked inclusiveness on gender aspects, especially in integrating the gender perspective in the process of community forums. So this topic is not only my professional for me orientation, but it's also long-term passion and commitment in my experience. I will start to talk about a little bit about community forums. They are introduced in North Macedonia about 10 years ago, maybe longer, as a part of Swiss-funded program implemented by SDC, a Swiss agency for development and cooperation. The aim of both was simple and powerful. Actually, The aim was to make local decision-making more democratic by directly involving citizens in shaping policies and allocating budgets. The thing that made this initiative particularly meaningful was that it was strong focused on inclusiveness, and these forums created place for marginalized groups, for including women, youth, ethnic minorities, and different vulnerable communities. This was actually a kind of added value, as these groups are often underrepresented and their needs can easily be overlooked. By bringing them into the process, the forum helped to bridge the gap between institutions and citizens, and by making the budget more reflective to actual community priorities. As I said, I was involved in different process of adjusting, if I can say, the community forums. I worked in regional program. We adjusted the community forums to the regional forums. And also through the EU-funded project, I was involved in the process of adjusting community forums through gender lenses, through the project Appraising Budgets and Policies. And the goal was to ensure that gender responsive budgeting it's included in the process and enable the participation and inclusion. This methodology placed particular importance on the municipal level, where budget decisions have the most direct impact on people's daily lives. By integrating this approach, the forums become more as a platform where gender perspective were systematically introduced into local budget planning and public policy development. Well, now the question, why participatory budget? It's important because inclusive budgeting leads to responsive governance. It enables citizens to directly shape local priorities. It fosters transparency, trust, and accountability between institution and the public. When it's viewed through gender lenses, participatory budgeting ensured that the different needs of women, men, and vulnerable groups are taken into account. And this makes these forums not only fair, but creates more inclusive, better adjusted, and effective public policies and services. Let's now look at how these forums are structured. They are typically conducted in 2 or till 5 sessions. Ideally, it's if we have 5 sessions for maximum impact. The number of sessions depends from the time, resources, and objectives. And during this session, the participants are grouped into thematic groups, and the groups are selected as a representative of the community, not as a representative of some institution. And during working in this group, they discuss about gender responsive solution of different priorities of situation that they discuss during this session. This group collaboratively identify key local needs and problems, vote on proposal, and prioritize actions or which can be considered to be part of the local budget. The process is structured and at the same time it's flexible, and most importantly, it's community driven. Participatory, it's truly the foundation of this model. Participation, actually, not participatory, sorry. Citizens join here, as I said, not as official representative, but as a member of the community, and they contribute through their perspective, their needs, how they see the situation related to different issues. Municipal representatives also take part, and they present and at the same time discuss the budget and also listen and respond to community inputs. Each group, whether youth, women, or ethnic minorities, has equal voice and representation, and the process is carefully designed to reflect the full diversity of the community at each stage. How is a productive and inclusive discussion ensured? Each session is facilitated by trained, licensed moderators and co-moderator in coordination with municipal representative, civil society representative, business sector representative, and local organizations. All discussions follow clear rules: time-limited contribution, a strong focus on constructive problem solving, and the goal is cooperative identification and prioritization of the local needs based on consensus. That means that decisions are made based on the consensus. What have these community forums achieved so far? There has been a notable increase in participation, especially for women, youth, minorities, and other vulnerable groups. Concrete proposals were generated across different municipalities. And the proposals, project proposals or program proposals were adopted in the local budgets, and the capacity of the local government and civil society on participatory budgeting is strengthened. What are the key lessons learned for the future? First, public outreach and mobilizations were shown as essential, because participation does not happen without awareness and access. Second, well-prepared moderator and effective coordination with the municipality and other key factors are critical for creating a safe space for productive dialogue. Third, when community members see that their voice was heard, they feel more ownership when their ideas are taken seriously, and when it's possible, the digital tools can support inclusion if it is well designed. You can enable to participate and other participants. Looking ahead, there are a few concrete recommendations. Use gender disaggregation data to frame discussion and to inform and guide discussion, actually. Engage underrepresented voice early in the process, not only at the final stage, not only in the process of decision, but in the process of getting to the decision. Institutionalize participatory budgeting practice within local government, so they become a routine part of decision-making. And most importantly, foster strong partnership between local institutions and civil society, business sector, youth, etc., to ensure these efforts are sustainable over the time. So to conclude, participatory budgeting through gender lenses, it's not just about allocating resources, it's about fostering of culture of involvement, listening, inclusion, and shared responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara, for sharing your insights and experiences with the participatory budgeting in the community forum program. Now we have Resmia. She will introduce herself and explain the importance of including people with disabilities. into the consultation process. You are muted.
Hello to everyone, përshëndetje për të gjithë, zdravo svima. Kam vendosur të flas në gjuhën shqipe, pasi jam e Kosovës.
I am coming from Kosovo. Dear participants, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here today and to share some thoughts from my personal experience and as a representative of people with disability. I do not have a presentation as Sarah had, but I will try to speak about my community for the topic that we speak, which is public consultation and participatory budgeting, is not only a professional or a theoretical issue, but it's part of my everyday life. I will present myself. I'm Resmia Rahmani. I am also known as Bibe. I have established the organization for people with muscular dystrophy in Kosovo. I am an activist for more than 35 years for the rights of the people with disability, especially women. Throughout these years, I have faced many challenges with non-inclusion in decision processes that directly involve my life. We face difficulties, real difficulties. Sometimes we are being invited in a public consultation, but these meetings are held in objects where we do not have access, no ramps, and there is no special communication for people with special needs. Sometimes we are not invited at all. The technical part is only one of them. When we speak about general gender budgeting, where this budget intends to include the real needs of women and youth, but if you don't listen the voice of a woman with disability, can we call this process participatory one? We know that we have needs for transportation, education, and this should not be seen as some additional request, but as our need. Please hold consultations online and physical, with physical presence, which is friendly to people with disabilities. Please plan us from the beginning of the process. Please send the invitations that will come to us not only through email. When we come to the meetings, please listen to us. Do not look at us as participants only, but as co-creators of policies. Please do not count us only as statistics, but as participants. I am an activist for many years, and I've participated in public hearings, but never have had my words heard. So my right to speak or participate was not given. This is more or less what I wanted to say, because I'm not so experienced. The last couple of years we have begun to show towards the participatory gender budgeting, where women with disabilities and minority representatives can find the path to include themselves in an equal manner with others. Thanks you once again for the invitation and to allowing me speak frankly. I'm sorry if I spoke too fast. My mother tongue is Bosnian. I'm a Bosnian, Kosovar Bosnian, and that's why I decided to speak in Albanian. Otherwise, I could speak in English also. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Biba, for sharing your insights and challenges and recommendations for the municipalities when it comes to incorporating people with disabilities in the public consultations. Now we have Mila. Can you unmute?
U redu sada?
Is it all right now?
Hvala. Ja ću govoriti na bosanskom
In
ili
Bosnian or Serbian, as whatever. Mila ili Mirka Melank. Mila is my name. I represent the Parliament of the Canton Sarajevo. As you know, Sarajevo is a complex entity. It consists of two entities. In the federation, there are 10 cantons. I am in the Sarajevo canton as a representative and a delegate in the Parliament of the Federation. And in the home of the people, I'm included in the work of the commissions who work with issues on public human rights on federal level. I am president of the Commission for Human Rights on the federal level, and I am touching this topic more. Although in the previous mandate, when I was representative in the representative house, I was member of the gender equality in the commission. I participated in questions that are related to gender budgeting in the seminars, UN Women and organizations that are working nearly on these topics. And I am and I know the processes on budgeting, but not specifically and precisely as probably others are here, those who participate in this session. I am more focused now on issues of wide human rights, rights of the national minorities, LGBT, rights of children, of amendments of the criminal law and law on protection of violence in families that was recently adopted in the Parliament of the Federation, and it is adjusted with the international conventions and Istanbul Convention, and the question of violence and other aspects such as vulnerability categories as well. In our party, we have structured that 50% of initiative mostly respected, and that even the statute of our party is made in as a female gender, so that we overcome the rift that there is in the equality between men and women. The representation in the lists is always 50%, more or less, or in elected officials, we have huge participation of women, which is 40% now. About we want to keep this principle alive. I will mention that specific question of this gender budgeting deal. We have a commission for equality in the genders in the Parliament of the Canton of Sarajevo, and we have achieved good results here. We permanently have communication between the institutions that deal with these issues. This year we have to start with the program budgeting, which would be visibility of the gender budgeting until the end. But because of some processes in the tax authorities, we didn't start with this year. I hope next year we will have this budgeting issue, and the allocation of means for exclusively for gender issues and gender equality will be specified. For now, we have some moves that can be seen in this regard, that we have forms established in the preparation of the budget instructions, and that we have listed the positions in the budgets that deal with gender responsible budgeting. There are in parallels which we use in the tools to improve and apply in the work, especially in the employment and equal salaries of women, health protection and care for older persons. And when we speak about violence in the families, which is mostly facing children and women,
da
I must say that there are means in the budget in the Canton of Sarajevo that are allocated for employment and for payment of the flats and apartments of women 1 year after they leave the secure houses. The budgets of the Canton of Sarajevo, as the budget of Federation, are completely now from this year financed, and they finance these secure houses. Additionally, the organizations that deal with these secure houses have projects which enable them to have a quality-based inclusion of the persons who have been victims of violence. As the fact that Canton Sarajevo has the biggest budget of most cantons compared with the other countries, I'm also included in the work of the budget of the Federation. We can say that there's an advancement now. As far as I know, the colleague Beshlia, who worked with this topic, has precise data, but I think in the Canton of Sarajevo, 10% of the budget is allocated as genderly sensitive, and I listed that. It is on the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Finance,
ministarstva koja se
and
pitanjima
the ministries that deal directly with the covering of the needs of women. We work together on both level with UN Women and with their departments that specify gender responsive budgeting. They give us concrete support in the Ministry of Finance. We have made certain forms that are defined in a joint action and have an aim to redirect the budget according to the mentioned criteria. This is an important progress compared to the previous situation. I don't know how is the situation at this moment,
vaša
but
iskustva.
we have been involved, and I have been involved.
Naime, mi već nekoliko godina imamo zakonski okvir koji definiše našu obavezu odgovornog rodnog budžetiranja i sada smo u nekoj etapi, dakle, u momentu kada počnemo primjenjivati programski budžet, moći ćemo u poslednju markicu da kažemo koja sredstva će biti uključena i za to ćemo imati alate
will be included in the GRB, and for this we will have
i provedbu zakonskih.
Iar pentru astea avem anumite anunțe în ceea ce privește implementarea acestei legi, care sunt definite prin
quality participation of women is always a special challenge, and preparation of precise regulations is very important. And I hope that definitely after the year 25 in next year, those will be totally transparent, and what we define as a principle which will fulfill all the criteria of the gender budgeting. I want to say here that our cooperation, because I am in the parties that are coalition in the government, we have a wonderful cooperation with the NGOs and the civil sector, which deals with the topics of participation of women and gender equality. And I'd like to say that there is a model of public debate before the budgets are adopted. We organize that with the consultations with the organizations, and we try, with this experience that we have in the previous years, we try always to inform about everything what we need, and we believe it's extremely important in the area of gender budgeting. So we have increase of the salary for the women who give birth, or payment of the kindergarten, or covering the costs in the financing of the cover for children, financial support for children. We try to give all the rights to women to enable them to have equal participation in the society. That's on my behalf. Thank you for listening and giving me the opportunity to hear your experience. That's it on my behalf.
Hvala, Mila, for sharing your insight and explain the budget process in Sarajevo, even though it's very complicated one. Now we have Albana from Democracy Plus.
Hi everyone, I'm happy. Vetëm një sekond të ndërprej për kthimin që I kesha, sepse po më pengon duke.
Just a moment, I want to stop listening to interpretation because it's giving me a problem. How can I stop the interpretation? Pick original in the audio and that's it.
I'm sorry. So, I am Albana. I currently hold the position of Senior Policy Analyst at Democracy Plus. I am an experienced, so I have worked for a number of organizations, and I currently also do for UN Women, Helvetas, Council, Demos, Council of Europe, People in Need, and others in the field of governance, public administration reform, gender mainstreaming, and GRB. I'm also a certified trainer from UN Women in GRB and gender mainstreaming. Therefore, both as an independent consultant and as part of Democracy Plus, I have worked and I do understand how participatory budgeting, GRB, and public consultations in general work in Kosovo. Thus, this is how I thought of preparing or structuring my thoughts with you today. I think it's, since we're here to also hear from like each other's country experiences, I thought of sharing the legal framework and the institutional framework for participatory budgeting and for GRB and public consultations in general in Kosovo. And then maybe focusing more either at the beginning or later on in mobilization of groups as part of a number of projects that we have implemented in Democracy Plus. So starting with first with participatory budgeting and GRB. So there is an administrative instruction for open government in Kosovo, which encourages all municipalities to conduct budgetary hearings, participatory budgeting, but it is not obligatory, as is GRB and public consultation. So basically, in terms of the legal aspect, this is the difference between participatory budgeting and public consultations as well as GRB, because municipalities and all budgetary organizations through this administrative instruction are encouraged to apply participatory budgeting, whereas GRB and public consultations are obligatory for all budgetary institutions. So in this case, each municipality and each ministry is responsible to conduct gender mainstreaming into their budgets, either through public consultations or other outreach mechanisms with the citizens in that city, country, or a small community, whatever that may be. In terms of participatory budgeting, as an organization, DPLUS has been implementing a number of projects and has worked with 15 municipalities, providing direct support in terms of organizing for the first time participatory budgeting. So what we have done is we have first convinced the municipalities why it is necessary to conduct and the importance of participatory budgeting. I will not go into details of what that is. My previous colleagues also mentioned it, and I think we all know its importance and how that is conducted. I think it's more important to share with you how we have worked with these municipalities to conduct participatory budgeting, because before it was not either part of the administrative instruction. So with a USAID funded project called Social Contract Activity, for the first time we initiated the idea of participatory budgeting with 15 municipalities. We went and talked to the mayors, we went and talked to the finance departments, and then with the mayor's decision, we established a group that was composed of the communications of the people from the budgetary department, as well as from the administration, public administration department or directorate within the ministry. And through that group, like, we formed this group with the mayor's signature, who was responsible to do participatory budgeting. We trained these people, and we also help them to mobilize people in those cities and villages where participatory budgeting was taking place. So we talked to the local councils. We talked to the head of local councils. We spread printed sheets in those villages so that we get them together. We basically reach them via various like social media tools such as Facebook, Viber. We call them. So various informal and formal manners to talk to the people, so that they gather and then they vote on a specific project or idea to be supported financially by the municipality. In the first year, so this was done in 15 municipalities, and then in the second year of the project, 5 municipalities have actually done it themselves without our direct support, but only with us, like, monitoring the process and just initiating it or reminding them. So it's not a legal obligation, reminding them that there needs to be a decision taken by the mayor to decide on the group structure, and then to also decide on, like, what part, 1% of the municipal budget, for instance, to be dedicated to this, to, like, for instance, 3 projects in a certain municipality. When it comes to GRB, this GRB has its legal basis on the law on gender equality, which actually obliges the Agency for Gender Equality, which is also part of the law, to train all municipalities, like civil servants at the local level as well as central level, who are responsible for gender equality, to train all of them in doing or in conducting GRB at local and central level. We have not, like, directly as D+ supported before, but now we just started a project a few months ago where we will increase the capacities of 2 municipalities to conduct gender analysis and to mainstream gender in their local budgets, particularly in the Department of Agriculture, but this is still a work in process with both these 2 municipalities. In terms of public consultations, overall, like, each budgetary organization is obliged to conduct public consultation. There is a regulation at the central level which obliges, and it shows all the deadlines since the establishment of the working group and the preparation of a specific draft for the document, like how and at what stage other stakeholders need to be consulted. And how, for instance, for how many days a document needs to be in the online platform for public consultations, and so on. However, I mean, there are a number of problems in regards to reaching to those that are more vulnerable when it comes to public consultations, or to hearing their voices, since usually the budgetary organizations, they publish their drafts and they are open for comments for around 2 weeks online. However, we cannot assume that everyone knows that this platform exists, or that they know how to share and how to write and how to send their comments. Sometimes you have to go in the terrain, talk to people, and have this dual approach to public consultations, where you hold targeted consultations with specific groups, like for instance, with younger generations, with older generations, with healthcare providers, if there is a regulation that targets their needs or their benefits, as well as hold like general public consultations, which are open and include like a number of groups or all citizens, no matter their differences. This is usually done with the support of CSOs. We have also, like SD Plus, supported a number of municipalities organizing targeted consultations with women, for instance. We've reached to them, to women organizations in a specific municipality, and we always have or take into consideration the intersectional aspect. So we do not, we understand like the difficulties of a woman participating, but we take into consideration if that is not only a woman, but if she's a woman, and then if plus if she has any disabilities or if she's coming from a non-majority community. So we try to be closer to these communities and try to gather feedback from them, and then share it with the government or facilitate the discussion between these groups and the government on the other side. So this is also obligatory and has a legal basis for being organized as public consultation for any regulation or sub-laws or laws or strategies that the government or the municipality decides to push forward. So this is in short about what are the differences in terms of in terms of the legal framework and the institutional framework for participatory budgeting, GRB, and public consultations in general. Maybe we can discuss later on about challenges or any other questions that might arise from the audience. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts, but also hear from other country experiences. I already have two questions actually for previous speakers, but I will leave it to the discussion part.
Thank you, Albana, for sharing your insights on the differences on the legal framework and the institutional framework for participatory budgeting, public consultations, and GRB. And everyone, thank you again for the presentations. I would like to start now the moderated part of the questions, which based on your experiences, can you share like an example or factors where do you think the feedback from the community led to a change in the budget lines? We can start like in the same order that we were before, like to start with Sara, Biba, Mila, and Albana. So basically, if you have any experience where the feedback from the community made changes in the budget law.
Maybe I can say something. As I said, community forums are very interesting. At the beginning, when we invite the community members, so actually the people from the community, they are a little bit reserved if they will come or not. And we have to make higher promotion to invite people and to convince people that it's their voice worth. Sometimes, mostly we actually, because the process it's open and the discussion it's open, and it's interesting that because one part of these activities, it's when the municipality present the budget of the municipality, but they use the simple language, if I can say, not the language of economy or something like that. And this is the possibility to the citizens to hear where their money are going and for which activity. And maybe I can share one experience in regional forums when two ladies, they were doctors in one hospital, and they said, we need to have some mieta for the hospital. They needed something which is, it was lower from the budget of what was planned for the activity. But the rules were sometimes we have rules and we have to be, some boundaries are put in according to the rule. And we said to them, but this, your request is the price of your request is lower from the budget that we had. And we usually have mechanic engineer or something that knows to assess the need of some institutions. And they went to the hospital and they realized that the hospital has a pool which the water was heating with the power. And we proposed that they maybe can think to have solar heating. And this was something that they started to prepare the project. They learned how to prepare project and how to apply. And they were very surprised that they get more than they were requesting. And this was something they usually say, we didn't believe that we will get this. Because when they came there, they came only with idea because maybe we will go and to see what happens there. But when they get the project, and when the project was really very good project for all the country, because these pools are used for kostoglobna, kako se kaže, for bones, very useful for healing system for people who have problem with bones, with their bones and muscles. And this was very useful not only for them, but for all people in the country. And this, I can say, it was an example where two ladies who didn't believed in the process, they were employed as a doctor in the hospital. They were surprised that when they presented their problem, they get kind of solution of their problem. They had solution for the exact problem that they presented, but they get better solution for the process of working in their hospital. Maybe, I don't know. This is something that I can remember as an example.
Thank you, Sarah. This is very useful. Biba, do you have any?
Yes, I have. Po e kam, po nuk u kon para 2 vjet ose 3 vjet, nuk e di sakt, jam kom në ndëgjim publik për buxhetin e Prizrenit.
Hearing for the budget of the municipality of Prizren, where I live, and as usually, I was the only person that was in a wheelchair, where, as Ms. Osmani said, we don't have a clue about statistics, but as I understood, there was a topic about healthcare and medical aids. And I can agree with Ms. Osmani that the idea came to me at the spot, and I said earlier that we didn't have access to microphone because we had to reach to the microphone because the people that participate are there only to listen, and I cannot shout without a microphone. So initially I had to gain the courage, because I was the only one the only person in the wheelchair, and I was asking to input in the budget for an examination chair in the prison hospital for the women in wheelchair, which is a taboo topic. And all the municipal council turned toward me and was looking at me because I was asking for something specific, and I was feeling bad because I was feeling like I asked them to send me to Mars. Although I raised my voice in the municipal council, in all the public hearings, they never listened to my voice because we were searching for an examination chair for women with wheelchair, and this was the first time that I was asking this publicly. And this year, with the help of Ellie and the Women Network, we will ask for increase in budget for social welfare, especially for women in rural areas, which is problematic for us women with disabilities. Thank you.
That people with disabilities have. Mila, do you have anything to share?
Okay. I have two examples. Imam dva primjera
Two
koja bih
examples that I would like to stress for this event,
naime u
namely in consultations with
roditeljima
parents,
Ministarstvo za odgoj i
the Ministry for Education of the Canton of Sarajevo
obradilo program
has prepared a program on for the pupils from the first to the fourth grade in the primary schools. In that program, the ministry will participate in co-financing of the costs for a longer period of stay in the schools, because parents have asked that to organize stay for their children after the finishing of the day in the school and the classes, as long as they stay at work. And this was a problem for some parents. Maybe after 2 years of consultations, initiatives that we have put, finally this was solved. And this year, this schooling year in the schools in the Sarajevo Canton, the Ministry of Education co-finances half of the cost for the salaries of the teachers and people who work in the longer period of stay during the day, and also for the food for the children and all that which is cost for this longer stay in the school during the day. Another example that I want to stress here is the example that is really implemented since the last year. That is the program, we call it period poverty, namely in the primary schools, in the highest grades. We offer free of charge cleaning for the girls who have a period, and this is financed by the canton now this year. And from this year, I hope I believe that also municipalities have been consulted that wanted to participate in this program, and I reckon that in the coming period of time we will make something which is quite normal in the schools and institutions that deal with the health and education. There is free of charge of these napkins that are used during the period, for the period of the girls. I would finish here. That was an example.
It's
Thank
my
you, Mila, for sharing your examples.
So it's my turn now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
since Miss Resmie also actually mentioned an example of how like her request was not taken into consideration, and in discussions like with citizens, because the participation in general is low when public consultation take place, especially like women or other like youth, they rarely take place in public consultations. It is usually heads of local councils, who are usually men, who like present according to them the requests of the citizens of the community where they live during budgetary hearings. But in general, they're not inclusive. And what I've done, like with the support of, just want to share an example of like how we've supported the municipality to be more inclusive when they conduct budgetary hearings. So I've prepared a guideline for planning, for facilitation, and for organization of budgetary hearings, both at local and at the central level. And the idea was to like identify what are the key principles for organizing and planning the budgetary hearing, and then I have divided the tasks for the municipal budgetary team responsible to organize such hearings, tasks that they have to do before the budgetary hearing, tasks that they have to conduct during the budgetary hearing, and tasks that the team has to conduct after the budgetary hearing. And what is most important, so the citizens continue to trust their government, because when they trust their government, where once a request that they made is taken seriously into consideration, or even if it's rejected, it is based, like if it's clearly written in the public consultation report that why a specific request has been rejected by the municipality or a ministry, then the trust of the citizen towards the government is there, towards decision makers in general. Therefore, like what is very important, like for those who organize the budgetary hearing to do before they organize or during the planning period, is to identify citizen groups that need to participate, not just like open and have a random call a general with a very general text that maybe not everyone understands, because although the budget is the key document of an organization and a document that shows the priorities of each municipality, of the government, of each like institution, because if you see the budget, if you see specific policies being budgeted there, then you know that there are higher chances of them being implemented rather than just what you hear from decision makers, we will do that and this. But still, it is a fiscal document, it is with numbers, and it is not very easy to be understood by everyone, in particularly vulnerable groups who maybe did not have access to such documents before. Therefore, among the list of documents that we suggested, or tasks that we suggested in the guideline to be conducted before, is the preparation of the budget information in a more visualized form. So basically to show how much budget was spent, how much budget is free to be decided by citizens, and what priorities can be included to prepare the invitation for the budgetary hearings. Because if you see now, like I have also monitored a number of public consultations in a number of municipalities, and if you read the text that they share in their social media or in the municipality website, you say, okay, this is not for me as a citizen. This looks very complicated. Budget, some like 3 lines, maybe this is the total number of budget, and it doesn't make you feel welcomed, or it doesn't make you feel like you can still contribute to that. So it is very important to prepare the invitation in a very informal and with very simple words. We also provided some samples on how to do it. Then it is important to determine the number of budgetary hearings and to clearly explain the venue, the time, you have to do this while considering a convenience for all marginalized and people with disabilities when you decide, and for working moms, for single parents, and for all these groups in our society. So there needs to be a time that is convenient for them, and also a venue that is safe and not far from home, because not everyone has access to public transport or drives. We try to remind them of all these tasks, and they are also part of a guideline that we shared with them. Also to publish the invitation, not only like in the Facebook and website, but to have a social, like to have an outreach strategy where you reach people in specific villages, you share with heads of like local councils, you publish it in some shops in the village. You also have some Viber groups with specific target groups in the city where you inform them via also other outreach mechanisms. And you also prepare the participation list, because I think Sarah mentioned at the very beginnings, disaggregated data by sex is key, even also when it comes to public consultations, because as a municipality, unless a CSO goes and tells them, hey, something is wrong because you're not reaching everyone in the community, since everyone participating from the photos that we see are men and no woman and no young people, no other marginalized groups or members of non-majority community are taking place. They cannot reflect if they don't have this participation list where you identify the gender of participants, the group age, the ethnicity that you belong to, your profession, whether you are a person with disabilities or not, and so on. So only once you have them, once you process this data in your database as an institution, only then you can see like with which group you're reaching and which group you're not reaching. So we were trying to say, because it's all about planning. If you start planning in advance, if you start identifying citizens groups, utilizing asset mapping, then it is, or other methods, it is easier for the information to reach those specific groups in society. Then you have also other tasks that you have to consider during the budgetary hearing, which is like presentation of the budget information in the simplest way possible, sharing this list for signature, then keeping the minutes of the meeting, and then having that being put in the public consultation brief forms. And then someone needs to facilitate this meeting to make everyone feel welcomed in that hearing, and so that not only one person, one old man, be the only guy in the room who talks and shares the request. This is very important for the facilitator to have the charisma and to know like how to share the information and how to make everyone talk and share their concerns, both women and men, and all the people who participate in that discussion. So as part of the guideline, we have also like shown some questions, how the facilitator can basically make everyone feel comfortable. How can they initiate the discussion? How can they change from one topic to the other? And so on. So there are a number of questions which the facilitator needs to keep in mind during the facilitation process, as well as tasks that need to be conducted like after the budgetary hearing, where this is also very important for having trust on the institution, because in the public consultation report you state like how many requests you had. It is important to disaggregate like requests coming from one woman, requests coming from man citizens, or from other ethnicities or from other groups in society, and to explain like which requests have been incorporated in the budget, which not, and if not, this is key to explain why, because you cannot say just as an institution that this request was not taken into consideration, and in the report, in the table that you put in the public consultations, state the request, who requested it, in which public consultation, and then whether it was accepted or rejected, and then explain if it was accepted, rejected, and why. Only this way you can build trust between, like, trust of the citizen towards the government, because they all understand if that was not so taken into consideration, approved or not, basically. So compilation of a detailed public consultations report and the publication of this report in the municipal or the ministry website. I think it's key for having transparent public consultations, accountable and inclusive if you have done your part during the planning process. So there are a number of cases when I have not myself made a specific request, but when with the support of some other projects like UN Women and Helvetas, I have monitored and conducted gender analysis, for instance, in the agriculture department in municipality or the Department of Culture, Youth and Sports. And then when I conducted this gender analysis, I saw that the money that is given through subsidies was mainly given to men's sports, like to men who were playing football or to men athletes, but no woman was like getting any of these funds. So what I did with the project support is like I wrote some like affirmative measures in the call to be included in the call for subsidies in the culture department and culture and sports, because this is one department here, culture, youth and sports, so that this affirmative measure basically motivates women to even establish new sports team and to apply for this funding in the municipality. And there are many challenges in the process of doing so, because it was not easy like to convince the municipality, although there was evidence, there was gender disaggregated data on the number of applicants, number of those who won the grants from the municipality. But still it is not always easy to explain that we all contribute to the budget and we all need to benefit. Also in the agriculture, when it comes to like subsidies that the municipality gets, we've conducted gender analysis with the support of the UN Women Project, and we have basically shown them this is the reality, like 87% of the funds go to men farmers and only less than 10% or 15% go to women farmers. You need to change something either in the public call, have an affirmative measure, or you need to go in the terrain, reach to more women farmers, inform them like what is that you are actually giving these grants that they can apply, they can open a business, and so on. So there were a number of gender sensitive recommendations and gender sensitive indicators that we've managed to integrate in the medium-term budgetary framework, which is a document that precedes the budget of the municipality. So everything that usually is in a medium-term expenditure framework then is translated into the budget, and there are higher chances of it being implemented, because still some changes can still happen when the voting takes place at the municipal assembly. But once you conduct the gender analysis, when you go through specific questions, you provide answers, you have data, it is easier to conduct budgetary organizations to do or to apply gender responsive budgeting. But still we need to increase the capacities, of course, of civil servants to conduct such analysis and through them to do GRB. This is in brief. Thank you, Eli.
Thanks, Ivana, for sharing your insight. In Kosovo, usually the civil society organization play a key role when it comes to mobilizing the citizens, and sometimes they even present recommendations on their behalf during public consultations. And from your experience, how to approach mobilizing citizens, especially women, youth, and people with disabilities to participate in this public consultation? We can start like the answer in the order that we were in the previous questions.
Yeah. Well, yes, this is something that I wanted to say also, that it's challenging and it's something that is very important to be done. And usually when the NGO or some organization is included, this process goes easily. But the process of invitation and mobilization, we use the strategy when we have operational team. And we, as a community forum moderator, I have operational team, which is consisted from where we have representative from municipality, from schools, from institutions in the community, from NGOs, from youth NGOs and similar, and NGOs which are working on gender issues. Or gender topics, and then we have meeting and we prepare a list of possible participants which will be invited and which through which we will spread the information among the citizens, because we need someone who the inviter should be someone who the people are trusting, the people believe in the person who invite, that something will happen, something will be done for them. It's not easy. It's not going very easy. Sometimes we have a situation when we have only the numbers, okay, but the inclusion, the real participation, it's not going smoothly. And that's why, as a moderator, we have rules that each group should be consisted from participants who are women, youth, the person with the from vulnerable groups and similar, which also it's not easy to be manageable, because we say, as I said, there are rules, but there are flexibility. We have rules that the group should be mixed, but we have the possibility that everyone can participate in the groups, in working groups. So this is the moderator should have are trained. As Albana said, we have moderators who are, actually I am also a moderator. We are trained how to do that, how to manage that. And without support from municipality, from institutions, it is not possible to be, especially maybe it's important to mention this. Usually one of the rules is that the moderator, it should be from other community. It's forbidden to be from the community where the community forum is being moderated, because it should be very neutral to look to that person as person who has not keeping one side or other side, or who is not helping to the groups, working groups, and especially because the moderator is a person who don't know so much the municipal constitution or municipal situation or community situation, but there we have techniques how to have, as we have a list, we have an idea how many females we need to invite. If we see that in the first session we have less female who participated, because when we do, or even when we write the minutes, we write also if the idea comes from woman or from male participants, from youth, or from representative from CSO. That's why the person who is doing the minutes should be also from the community who knows the participants. So after that, after the session, we discuss about this with the operational team, and again we change the strategy if it is needed. If everything goes okay, we continue with that. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But these are some steps which are kind of rules of community forums, and which helps to have some kind of real participation of all, if I can use the word, marginalized groups.
Thank you, Sarah. Eva, will you share how to mobilize people with disabilities?
Si shka përmendër zonja Re që shumë është problematike, pjesëmarrja.
As it was mentioned, the participation is very hard, especially for people with disabilities. Their participation is discutable because we don't have personal assistance, we don't have access to public transport. So all the problems we face are to reach to the venue where the meeting is held. I don't mean only for budgeting forums, but we are not equal in many issues. In most of the cases, we are not equal. The problem is how to make the people with disabilities to reach the venue where these discussions are being held. We don't have a solution for their transportation, for their participation, and our hands are tied in a way. And one of the huge problems for me is that many of the organization of the people with disabilities are in fact people that do not have disabilities, and they cannot know the needs of a person with disability. And I mentioned this because it's the only way to make people of all categories to participate, because only they can know their real needs. So they should cooperate and listen to the voice of people with disabilities, and not only to invite them as silent observers. And as Ms. Reja said, they have guidelines, but in the practice, it's very different. It's very hard to implement them. In Kosovo, we have good laws, but very hard to implement, especially for my category of people, especially for disabled people or people of smaller communities. I have never seen in any hearing or any meeting some person from smaller communities or disabled people to participate in these meetings, because we don't have access to documentation. All the documents are only in Albanian. I agree with Ms. Reja that we have guidelines, rules, but in practice, it's very hard to implement. And for example, in a meeting, in a public hearing my colleague attended, there were only 5 people present. One of them was a woman. So we should find a more efficient manner to inform the people, the community. So I say that the entire population should be more active, more adjourned at the informing and at the participation process. I think I'm very frank for Prizren, because that is the place where I conduct my activity. I never worry to participate, but you feel indifferent because nobody takes you into account. But yet again, I say that we should not give up, but find more efficient ways of participation and information.
Shestan has raised her hand. She's a co-worker of BIBA. She will also want to share something for people with disabilities. Can you hear me, Antigona?
Pa konsultacije
The
koje
consultations that she's muted. Unmute, Mila. Please unmute yourself. Mila is muted.
je li se čujem?
You can hear me now?
Zona bila, gospođa Šestan je htjela nešto da priča, poslije toga ste vi.
Ja, izvinjavam se, jesam ja uletjela?
I apologize. I jumped in.
Can you hear me?
Antigona,
Antigona, we can hear you.
please.
Eleta, me siguri që nuk është forse atëherë nuk e bo pinin ato si na që kemi.
Conductor Pak.
We have difficulties hearing Antigona. She's breaking up. Unfortunately, she's breaking up.
Provotaš me po?
Can you try now, Antigona, please?
Da li se čujemo?
Unfortunately, we cannot hear
Sad
her.
je opet problem.
Da, čujemo vas, možete možda nastaviti pričati pa da vidimo.
Okay, we can hear you
Antigona,
now. You
we
can
can hear
continue
you.
talking. Please, let's see.
Sada ko priča?
Who's talking now?
Antigona na redu,
Antigona,
Antigona's turn, is it now?
ali je mutana trenutno.
But she's muted now.
Maybe Mila can continue until Antigona
yes.
fixes its technical
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, Mila can continue.
Dobro, hvala. Da nastavim, dakle, postoje
There
stanoviti
are significant institutional mechanisms through which we have consultations with citizens and the civil society through commissions that work in the Parliament of Sarajevo Canton or on the level of federation through commissions that work with the parliaments. In the canton of Sarajevo, in the former Parliament of Sarajevo, there is a commission for fighting question, commission for the youth, commission for public rights, commission for refugees, commission for law and order, for commission for social policy, commission for protection of public health. And now in the framework of these mechanisms, there are particular consultations, organized meetings in the period before adoption of the budget. This is a period where, for example, that's the end of beginning of September, when we have talks on defining amounts that are necessary for the particular groups. It is true that in our country there are particular difficulties in participation of citizens in these consultations, and often it happens that we do not have people representing some of the organizations on which these issues are related to, that we have on the public hearings before the decision on the budget. And afterwards comes to the data that some of the sums are not adequate, they are not necessary, are not sufficient, so we had to plan differently. So we try during the whole year to have consultations and to try then to assign people in the specific circumstances and to meet with them where they work or where they have inconvenience in their organizations, because it is the access to some institutions is sometimes for persons with invalidity particularly complicated. So we start to overcome that in this regard. Now there is a gender center of the federation which also directs part of these activities towards certain problems. they name the places that are particularly vulnerable now. But truly, for some time now, we have good cooperation with organizations from the area of people with invalidity, and we try to establish mechanisms that enable them on those consultations to participate, to be adequate for them. But truly, there are many challenges that is not allowed to everyone to equally participate. Not everyone has participation and capability to present their needs. So we try to make these mechanisms more transparent and make them better, because there are options and opportunities for citizens to address to every level, to the commissions, to the representatives, through the social networks, through websites, through the emails. They're all public contacts. They're accessible to the people, and they can address and give information about what is interesting for them and for what they are vulnerable on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mila.
Is Antigona?
Albona try, then we can continue with Antigona.
Okay, maybe just, I think your question, if I understood it correctly, was in relation to the challenges we face for mobilization of specific groups for public to participate in public consultations. It was rightly said by previous panelists that it is very difficult, like this is the most challenging part of the planning, like invitations sent to these groups, mobilization of all these groups for participation in public consultations. I think the major or the key role here belongs to, I'm not saying whether it should, but in reality it belongs to civil society organizations, because they usually reach those that the government cannot, either because these groups lack trust in the government, or either because the government is very formal in using their outreach mechanisms. They have this e-consultations platform online. They have this list of organizations that they send when they have a draft policy. But this, in most of the cases, when support is lacking from CSOs, this is where they see that their work ends there, like publishing it in public consultations website, sharing it in case they have a social media. Most of the time, it's not that they use it for such purposes. They use it like for sharing photos of events and so on, but not for consultations. And so this is where civil society comes in. If, for instance, a municipality is drafting a local regulation on, I don't know, garbage, waste management, or something else, what we have done this far as Democracy Plus is we have organized, we have at first reminded that specific department and the public like consultations group that they can, that is with the mayor's decision, this is how it's regulated in our country, that they can always have this dual approach to reaching, dual approach of public consultations, so they can have public consultations with targeting specific groups, and we can help mobilize these groups, and they can have also general public consultations in the municipality building when everyone is allowed to come and comment. It is not easy. We use any form of communication, formal, informal. We use social media. We use informal groups that are established in social media, like single moms, for instance, or a local council group in one city, or bicycles group, or any kind of group. We have mapped this for different cities, and we share this invitation in all of this. And we also not just share the picture, but we rewrite somehow the invitation with more like simple words so that they can understand. We use also Viber communication like WhatsApp. We call them with this is going to be held here. You should come. You can, but this is like the success of it is seen in that particular event, in that particular public consultation, but it's very hard to institutionalize this approach that we as CSOs use, so that the municipality, for instance, continues to use it even when our project is ending. It's very challenging because they are very limited in their approach. They say the law asks us to publish it, to send it to this group of experts, and that's it. And I think it will continue to be a challenge. I don't have a solution for it, but I think CSOs should continue to play a key role in, for instance, mobilizing women-led organizations or organizations that address groups such as the organization that Ms. Remzier is leading, and others, to group comments and then share it with decision makers. Otherwise, it's impossible to reach and get feedback from all groups in society and conduct basically inclusive public consultation. This was in short, sorry, I forgot to conclude.
Albana, Antigona is still having issues, so she messaged me on the chat.
Antigona ca probleme po me ka dërgu mua, mund me lexo.
Antigona has problems, but she shared her question with me. Our organization, OPOTM, has conducted a project by purchasing specific equipment. In 2021, we had a recommendation for hydraulic beds in every hospital, in municipal hospital, and we were promised by the health institutions to purchase 22 beds for us, but this was never implemented. The beds were never there. And we would ask you to make advocacy for us. There were a lot of promises, but it was never realized. We also lack orthopedic means. We have signed a memorandum for tetraplegic people, but our requests for budgeting these needs are never taken in account. This was what Antigona wanted to raise. Otherwise, we come from the same organization with Antigona.
Raise your hand so you can continue, Mercy.
Hi, everyone. I don't necessarily have a question. I don't know if it's time for questions and answers yet, but I really want to make a comment on what all of the participants have somehow touched upon. So I notice how there's something that all of you have mentioned, which is the triadic nexus of people, CSOs, and the decision makers. And it somehow revolves around that. And I think that everyone has identified the how-to in this, especially Albana, you've explained everything in great detail, how it functions, which is a great idea on replicating those kind of practices that you've mentioned. So do we see that we need to strengthen our representation in terms of we represent the people and we need to gather info from them? Second thing that we need to strengthen is CSO's influence. And the third thing is raising the awareness among the decision makers. And it could be a good conclusion from what we've discussed. And I really wanted to use this opportunity to thank Mila, because Mila, I've met in the first phase of the Gender Budget Watchdog Network, so 2019 to 20, I think, when she was on the municipal level, I think, in the Committee on Gender Equality, and has opened the door for a lot of GRB move in the municipality that she was in at the moment, and for the CSOs to actually have influence on the policies, and was one of the
da utiču na politike. Ona je jedna od najvážnijih članova
among the CSOs, and it's very nice to have someone who listens to individuals like that. And I think that we oftentimes find issues around our work, and we find issues relating to what we could do better, or and so on. And then on the other side, there's no one who listens. And Mila is one of those persons, and maybe we could use Mila in the future to tell us the know-how for raising awareness among those who actually make the decisions. So yeah, even in the complex systems like this one. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I think that's a really good thing that all of you have somehow mentioned these 3 actors and the cooperation that has to happen between them. And I love that we have Resmia here as well, who represents the organizations of persons with disabilities, which is always good to have that kind of intersection into the simple gender equality.
As Mercy pretty much concluded what we have done till now, we have now the time for question. I think Albana said before that she has 2 questions. You can start maybe from your questions, then from the participants.
I have one question for Sara, because she mentioned this community forums and participatory budgeting that was done before in your country, but I just wanted to know whether that has a legal basis or whether institutions are simply encouraged by any like administrative instruction or any sub-law to conduct it. Is it obliged? And if yes, like what percentage of budget they need to allocate for participatory budgeting? Are there any criteria in this regard? This is for Sara. And I have one question for Mila as well, because she mentioned that 10% of budget is gender sensitive, and then she said it's on health, if I understood you right, Mila, health, education, and something else. I think you mentioned 3 sectors. I just wanted to know, like, how did you come to this 10% of budget is gender sensitive? It was not clear. Maybe you can just elaborate, and so we can understand, like, is it measuring it? Is it a specific budget, or just how? More information. Thanks a lot to both.
Okay. Mila, do you want you to start, or I can start?
Svejedno.
Dobro, možem ja da počnem. Ne čujemo.
You were first with the
Okay.
questions, so you can start. I will follow later. Okay.
I'll try to say it in English, but if I don't remember the words, I will say it in Macedonian or Albanian. Yes, it is one of the, this process started around 10 years ago. And the idea was that each municipality has part of it, this to become part of the program of municipality programs. I think that formally all the municipality have these forums in their program, but as I said, the sessions which during which the community forum is ideally conducted, it's 5 sessions, at least 5 sessions. But because of the budget and because the possibilities in the municipalities when they implement by themselves the community forums, this happens maybe with reduction of the sessions or similar. And usually when I participate as moderator, it's very rare situation when I participate, because the municipality decided to have, to be honest, to have this kind of community forums. If there are, they are helped by some NGO or something when they have to deal, because we have several forms of community forums. Community forums for all the budget, but community forums which are focused for one program. For example, the last community forum where I participated, it was for climate change, but again, initiated and moderated, if I can say, financially supported, partially also from international organization or from some CSOs, you know, from civil society organizations. Also because I was directly involved in the process of implementing community forum in regional level, we put these community forums in the law, and they are in the law. But I think that after the project will finish, I don't know if the regional centers will be able to implement, even though the implementation of the condition uslov for implementation of the custi për ta implementu forumin, it will be to implement the project, it will be to go through participatory process. All the programs were prepared, all the ideas were prepared, but in practice, they are very hard to be implemented. It's not easy. It's as all projects, you know, when they finish the budget, they started to be implemented lower, unfortunately. But according to the law, each municipality have to have community forum at least once per year. But it's not happening usually. I'm not sure. Not for every municipality. There are some municipalities who are working by themselves. I have no this information. Sorry, Mila.
Hvala. Pa evo, ja sam pomenula 3 ministarstva koja zapravo imaju najveće dijelove svog budžeta definisane kao rodno osjetljive. A zapravo radi se o Ministarstvu zdravstva, obrazovanja, socijalne politike i naravno Ministarstvo finansija, mada svako ministarstvo ima obavezu da određeni dio...
Every ministry has the obligation, a certain part, every part of its budget to mark as gender responsive, gender sensitive. The Ministry of Finance have give instructions for the budget of Sarajevo, and the budget users in the request for budget year must present their part of financing, partly this part which concerns gender responsive and responsible projects, and within the ministry, and the means that they have allocated for them, they must mark them during the application for the means from the budget. And in previous times, these budgets have been shown how they are spent in accordance to the gender component. However, this is more transparent now with the introduction of this positive practice, as the total budget of the canton of Sarajevo went through the filter of these instructions. And now we have the opportunity during the preparation of the budget, an insight which part of the budget will be gender sensitive. I reckon with an analysis we can come to another part of means that are truly gender sensitive, apart from these 10% that we can institutionally cover and confirm that they are based on the requests from the budget users or those who participated in the preparation of the budget. And this year we will see in the report in a detailed, specified, and in the coming year even more, when we will have a program budgeting, because then we will follow every level of the components of the budget step by step.
Do you have any more questions, or do the participants wants to share any story with us? have the question also in the chat box and I can read.
Dobro, ili se sad dešava neko postavljanje pitanja u pozadini ili zapravo šta, ja još nemam puno vremena, morat ću uskoro da vas napustim.
What's going on? Are there any question session? I have no time. I must go. I want to thank you very much for your invitation. I heard some very well, and I also thank you very much for the praise that I heard for myself. I am trying myself very much to have cooperation with the NGO sector and to make it open and often. And I tried with solutions often that the civil society has offered by recommending some initiations for the change of laws. I very good cooperate with an organization from Tuzla, which is called the Country of Children, which has given lots of problems and recommendations on the criminal law, and I went through the process of introduction of these changes of the criminal law that have become part of the law that will be adopted these days in the House of the Representatives, and later on it will come to us in the House of the People. And this is not the only experience I have. I have very good cooperation with the civil sector. I think this is the civil sector is hugely important in the development of the awareness about how we can change the society, and that their role is precious in terms of as it is the role of the political or economic sector, and that without them we would not be able to do the steps forward. And the true is that the politicians have the awareness about the changes, but they are not aware in some of the segments of the sectors in the society, specifically speaking, and they do not know what happens in all these sectors. And here, the CSO is very important to warn us, to give us the hints about what changes are to be accomplished and what laws should be changed so that we can improve the legislation. So I'm very thankful to every suggestion, to every knowledge that we receive and information that we get in this area. Thank you very much.
We don't have any question. Do you want Sarah, Resmia, or Albana to have like a final?
Să išlek naci, meju taku ciekawe online.
It was a pleasure to meet you online.
I hope that we can meet maybe in the future in some other, I don't know, event or workshop. Yeah. Thanks again. I learned also a lot from your perspective.
I also want to thank you, and I hope that in the further webinars we will have more participants of different spheres and people with disabilities. I agree with Mila, Mercia, and Albana that we need more cooperation. We as OSCs are the locomotive, and we should move things, the processes, and we should be all equal. And I hope that we will achieve our equality in the future. It was a pleasure to participate, and I hope that in the future we will have more participants from the minorities and the vulnerable groups. Thank you all.
Thank you also from my side to CRPM, Center for Research and the policy making, I think, that invited me to present in this webinar and to present the process where I was included a long period, and I was hoping that it will become part of the system during which the citizens will participate in decision making. Maybe formally it's included, but I can say that the experience of the municipalities during the discussion with the municipalities who have already had experience with this community forums, they were more prepared to try other perspectives, to try other things, and they are more open. And so I hope it will continue in these municipalities also. Hvala i od moje strane, hvala na site, haljem derit gjithve.
Thank you all on my behalf.
As we are to an end, thank you everyone to the speakers for sharing such thoughtful insights. Also, thank you for your recommendations and challenges. As we already are in the end of it, so hvala, halimderit, mulțumesc, and thank you.